This is just a quick reference of the body. We're worried about that femur. That ischium part of your pelvis is where the pad at the base of that splint is going to be, or yeah, the traction splint is going to be going. If you look at that old hair traction splint that we used to use, you can see here that that piece will wind up pushing up against fractures, not really keeping them together as it should. You can see with the new with the new sagers, when it pulls outwards, it keeps it in line better. Here's actual footage of it on a body that shows that it actually does pull outwards instead of pushing upwards. There's more proof and more proof. So here's a picture of how it's applied on this person. It's been wrapped, the two ankle straps have been wrapped around either ankle. Straps go on either side of that heel. It's been applied up into his groin. If they're awake, give them a second to move their bits out of the way. Grab a hold of that handle, and you're able to apply traction by pulling that direction, grabbing that red handle and pulling away to apply the pressure. So here's those steps again. Place it between the two legs. Make sure it's in the right spot. Everything's out of the way. You're applying that hip strap, or that upper thigh strap. Applied it on both ankles. She's pulling pressure to the adequate amount, and she's wrapping both legs together. That's all the bits and pieces. Make sure the one that you have in your ambulance has all those pieces. Alright, thank you. Hey, this is Paul. I'm going to talk to you about our new Sager traction splints. Pretty cool little toys. First, let's go over indications and contraindications. Sager splints are indicated for use on proximal third and mid-shaft femoral fractures. All traction splints of any kind are contraindicated in the case of fractured pelvises, as well as fractures of the knee and ankle. So be aware of that. Go over the parts real quick. Has a base. You're going to be pushing that up against the ischium of the butt of the pelvis. This one has a handle on this end. As you push that up against the base of the patient and you apply it properly, you'll be grabbing hold of this and pulling away from the patient. It's got a spot right here in the middle where it's clicking. That's what's actually grabbing a hold of it, preventing it from going back in. If you did need to move that back in, you just lift up on that, slide it back in. There's a spot on this end over here where it allows you to tell how much traction is actually being applied. The red is the kilograms, the black is the pounds. You may ask yourself, how much traction should I apply? Apply the amount of traction recommended by your medical consultant or that of your protocols, obviously. For adults, the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons recommends gentle traction to a maximum of 7 kilograms or 15 pounds per fractured femur. So, because these are able to be used on bilateral femur fractures, that means you can do 14 kilograms or 30 pounds for a bilateral fracture. General rule of thumb is 10% of the patient's body weight per fractured femur. So an example of that would be if a patient is weighing like 45 kilograms or 100 pounds, has a single fracture, the appropriate amount of traction would be 4.5 kilograms or 10 pounds. If that same person had a bilateral fracture, go with 9 kilograms or 20 pounds. A couple of neat features is this end articulates, the base end articulates. So if you have a patient with a left femur fracture, you can bend it towards the left. When you push it up against the ischium of the pelvis, it'll keep it off the sciatic nerve and one or two other spots. These are supposed to be very comfortable. They're kind of made after bicycle seats. I know that's not all that comfortable, but it's better than the old hair traction splints.